Joined tonight by conservative radio talk show host Hugh Hewitt, who interviewed Speaker Ryan earlier this week, and the Washington Post national political reporter Robert Costa remains with us, has returned with us. All right, Hugh Hewitt, ideologically, you would be a member, I think it's safe to say, of the Freedom Caucus. Do you think this thing will pass? And as a smart guy who went to Harvard, do you think it should pass?
I think it will. I think it should. And I think I'd be in the Republican study group, Brian, not the Freedom Caucus. The Patriots were down 25 points in the third quarter. They won. I think Speaker Ryan's a little bit behind. But tomorrow night on the 11th hour, they're going to be list of Republicans. Those who voted with the president, the vice president, the speaker, and the leader McCarthy, and those who voted with Nancy Pelosi to keep Obamacare. Which list do these Republicans want to be on? And I think, it's not the Alamo. I'm talking to the Freedom Caucus now. They're not Crockett and Travis and Bowie. This isn't they're not going to get a monument for voting no tomorrow. They're going to actually go down in Republican Party infamy if they kill the effort to repeal Obamacare and get it to the Senate.
But your answer seems to be along the political lines of, are you with us or against us? As a political matter, do you think it's better for the country and living, breathing Americans who need health care to pass this tomorrow?
Absolutely. I think Obamacare isn't collapsed, Brian. Not only did I speak to the speaker this week, but to John Thune and to Lindsey Graham, to Republicans across the spectrum, Kathy McMorris Rodgers. And in fact, Obamacare is collapsing. It's particularly devastating on people who have Medicaid but can't get in to see doctors. And so I think the block granting of Medicaid and the thoroughgoing reform of a major entitlement is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. And so I think by tomorrow morning, as they sleep on it, the conservatives in the Freedom Caucus are going to say, I think we'd better get this to the Senate. And I think Charlie Dent and his friends are going to hear that veiled threat at Speaker Ryan. And I defer to Robert on this, and they might be reading that as, do we really want to participate in weakening the speaker that we can work with and getting, for example, my friend Jim Jordan is the speaker? That was a pretty sophisticated message coming from 1600 tonight.
And Robert, same question to you that Hugh just posed. How does Ryan manage this period and what we already know and can see is coming out of the White House? And how does the president, do you think, play it?
Well, a friend of the president a few minutes ago. Is the president angry tonight at the Oval Office? They said no. What he wants is the vote to happen now. He wants to see who's against him, who's with him, that he's kissed enough hands, he's had enough meetings, he's had enough of these chatty phone calls. It's time to have the vote, this confident on, the president said. And so it's not an ideological president. He's not driven by this urgency to have some kind of conservative project on health care, but he wants it done.
Hugh Hewitt, a question along these lines, but on a different topic, and that is surveillance. Nunes from your state goes over to the White House and shares this intel with President Trump. President Trump, minutes later, says he feels somewhat vindicated by it. Tonight, for the second night in a row, I note that Fox News, during their conversations, had the banner, Trump's surveillance confirmed. Do you really equal what Donald Trump said about wiretaps specifically, quotation marks and outside quotation marks, with what Nunes delivered yesterday? Does this connect the dots for you?
No, and I think the president ought to call Director Comey and ask him directly, and maybe on the record in a joint appearance, is there anyone in my White House who is under investigation? Because if there is, I have to separate them from the White House. That's an old lesson from an old Nixon person, even though I worked for him after the fall. You don't want people under investigation in your White House. But while that's also going on, Brian, I would point out the third story of the week, the big win for the president. So we've got a troubling story in the House, an interesting story with Devin Nunes. He's won the Gorsuch nomination. He is going to be confirmed. The Reid rule is going to be invoked if Chuck Schumer carries off a filibuster. Mitch McConnell's going to break it. John McCain declared as much. Lindsey Graham, Lisa Murkowski declared it. It's been a very good week for the Republicans, no matter what happens tomorrow. And as for the Nunes story, I'm laying way back on that because there are two parallel narratives here. I have no clearances anymore. Someone is not telling the truth. Someone is going to get burned very badly.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard Hugh Hewitt insist this was a good week for Republicans. We'll leave it there. Hugh Hewitt, thank you. Robert Costa, our continued thanks, especially for sharing